Last week I was browsing eBay and I saw this locomotive in a very sorry state, and I thought I have to have that so that I can bring it back to life. What is it? Stay tuned to find out. Well, it's a windy day outside and I've now got myself another locomotive, and if I open it up you can see there is in fact a Lone Star EL60 class saucer type 2, I think it's a class 24, and it's almost like corporation buses, as we used to say. You wait for ages for one to go along, and then suddenly there's about 3 of them. I've already repaired one of these. I've got one waiting in bits, and I've now got this one, which I got off eBay from a nice chap who was selling it, and you can see it's got a broken bogie. Comes with no wheels, and I think if you look inside there should be a motor there. The whole assembly is held together by 2 countersunk brass screws, which I've just loosened. Chassis lives out, and a quick look at the body shell. It doesn't look too bad actually. Die cast body, bit of chipping in the paint along the roof, and some wear and tear along the body, but not a lot considering this is about 50-55 years old. Decal's not too bad here, but on the other side get a bit faded. And let me just come in a little bit to show you what I have. Motor centre mounted, drive shaft on either side, and if you remember with these Lone Star locomotives, the drive is through a series of belts suspended from the drive shaft, 2 on each half, and they go down round the axles, so the wheels are held in tension by the drive belts. When the drive belts go, the wheels drop off, and this drive belt looks as if it's probably an original. I'm feeling it, it's quite brittle. In fact, you just see, where is it? There it is, it's broken off. So obviously drive belts required. If you look closely you'll see there's a lot of rust on the drive shafts, so my guess is this hasn't been used in a very long time, probably sitting in someone's box or drawer or something, don't know. The windings here show a little bit of rust, and I don't know how long it's been since it moved, so I'm just going to gently try and rotate the drive shaft, and to be honest it's kind of reluctant to go, so maybe a bit of lubrication on the bearings before I apply power would certainly be useful. So it looks as if I've got a number of issues here, which I was aware of, so I mean it's nothing to do with the seller. I was aware of the rust, the implications. I was aware of the broken bogie, and I was aware of the missing wheels. I don't think any of these issues are a big problem as long as the motor turns, but worst case scenario I do in fact have a replacement motor. This will make it a very expensive repair, but as I don't do this for a living or as any monetary gain, the only loss is going to be my time. Well, as I said I would do, I've applied just a little bit of oil to this bearing here and to the bearing in there, and I've gently tried to rotate it, and eventually I've now got the shaft rotating reasonably freely. So I'm just going to let it turn for a few seconds, and there you can see there's lots of lovely free movement there. And what am I going to do next? I'm going to apply some power. So I'm just going to bring in my little rig here, a couple of clips, make sure the power's off, and just hook on to the ends of the suppressor capacitor. And as I said, dear knows how long this has been sitting idle, because the rust suggests it's been quite a while. So as I apply the power, I'm just going to give it a helping hand, just to give it an initial kick. I'm not sure which way it's going to go, but I'm putting the power on now. Oh yes, I can feel it. Yes! And there it goes. And they'll just come in a little bit. Vibration because it's sitting there, but that doesn't look bad at all. Just going to take it down and see how far it will go. Down, and still going nicely. I think we may have the makings of a working machine here. And it's very low power indeed. Now it's stopped. Okay, so let's try it going the other way without any assistance and see if it will pick up. Nothing happening that way. Maybe I should just give it a little... Oh, no, there we go. There we go. Oh, there it goes. Just let it run for a few seconds. And I think this could be a good little machine when it's finished. So I'm just going to take this off again. And there we go. So, at least the motor is running. All I have to do now is get some wheels. I've got some drive belt making equipment. In fact, I've even got some drive belts from a nice a viewer who I spoke to, and he sent me a set of drive belts. My next task will be to try and clean up the rust on either side, make it nice and polished and able to grip the drive belts, because we don't want friction there. So I need to be careful with the lubrication. I can see that some has spread over the drive shaft, so that will have to be cleaned. Right then. Okay, leave it with me and I'll come back to that as soon as I can. After I said that, I thought maybe it would be a good idea to remove the bogies, just to see what else there is. The bogies are held on by these screws which have got collars in them to allow freedom of movement, and they go into the chassis. So that's what the screw looks like. Got a nice deep collar with this little threaded part at the end. And the pickups are actually the metallic sides of the bogie. The axles sit in these grooves, and the power is transmitted from the wheels to there and along these wires. And the wires are held in with screw and washer. So if I just release that there, oops, release that there we go, then that should allow the wire to come out on both sides. That's the bogie free. In this one I noticed that the coupler is in good condition, held in there. I think they're glued in at this end, and open here. The wire is quite interesting. It's quite a stiff, almost silk covered wire with stranded strands. Stranded? Yeah, okay, whatever. So similar to this one, the pivot screw with the collar and holding wire in there. This isn't actually broken. Oh, wait a minute, just as I say that, I just noticed that in fact this part of the pillar, this center pillar, is definitely broken. So this half of the bogie should be attached to another half, and it has broken off and obviously gone missing as it's been lying waiting. So it's a new center pillar and a new, probably would that be left hand side of the bogie assembly to get. I think I might have a spare machine around with that. That allows the whole motor assembly to be removed, and I can examine the chassis, which is actually in very good condition. These supports here, of course, are for the spindle, and inside here are some nylon plastically bearings that support the shaft as it rotates. Broken, dried up belts, and all I need now is to clean up this shaft. So I'm going to investigate how to remove rust, probably a bit of I don't know, some Brasso, emery paper, that kind of stuff. I'll have a look anyway. But this has got definitely the workings of a good machine. So with that in mind, I'll see you later. I've left this overnight to set. I glued the coupler to the other half of the bogie frame, and it seemed to set pretty well. So I'm going to rebuild the bogie and see how it looks. So the bogie has got two screws. This contacts with the wires for the motor from the pickup. So I'm just going to put those in, and then I shall hook them up to two wires from the motor, put in the other bogie, attach some tyres, and I use wheels which I borrowed, he says, meantime, from another machine which is waiting on a part. Okay, give me a few minutes and I'll be back shortly. bogies fitted, wired up. I had to replace one of the wires because the original wire turned out to be very short. So I'm just going to apply a bit of power across the capacitor. That would help if I turn the power supply up. Contact should be about there. There we go. And in reverse. And there we are. Now I'm going to try it from the bogies. The bogies themselves are the pickup arms. So there we go in one. And in the other bogie. Oops. Just trying to, yeah, there we go. So it's working from the bogies to the motor. Right, let's attach some wheels. Now, as I explained in one of my other videos, the belts are suspended over the drive posts. So for the inside wheels, I tend to put the belts over the shaft and drop them down into the well, and then take a wheel axle upside down and positioning at right angles, take my hook, which I've temporarily lost. So here it is. Grab the belt, and pull it through, and then in consistency try again. Just trying to get this out here. Try it here. Right. Try it. So, okay, I shall do this again. Right. So picking up where I drop it through the wheel well, take the wheel and set it at right angles, grab the belt and hook it over the rim. Oh, this is usually a lot easier. Over the rim, and then a twist to the left. You could do a twist to the right, but then you'd have to do the same in all of them. As I'm doing all mine twist to the left, I'm just going to be consistent. Same with the other axle here. Put the belt over the shaft and draw it through the wheel well. Like so. Then with the axle in position, pull the belt over the wheel. Oops. Pull the belt over the wheel. Like so. And then a twist to the left. And that way it makes it consistent. I'm going to apply a wee bit of power at this stage to see if I can get the wheels to turn. Just need a wee bit more. Yep, there we go. And again, I'm kind of wondering just how long it's been since this particular motor actually drove a pair of axles. The rust on the shaft suggests it's a fair number of years. Okay, now when I'm doing the outside wheels, I use a different technique. So let me grab an axle, which, there we go, and a belt. This time I put the belt over the wheel drop the wheel into location and then pull the belt over the end of the shaft with a twist to the left. And on the other side, fit the belt over the axle, drop the wheel into the bogie and then pull the belt through with a twist to the left. Because there's not as much stretch over the end of the axles with the outer wheels, but there's a lot of stretch involved if you do that with the inner wheels. So that's why I've done it this way. Again, let me just see how this is going to go with some power attached. Come on, I'm trying to get decent contact here. Because of the extra torque required, I think I'll just turn the power up just slightly. Maybe get it from here. Get more torque. And should apply power there and there. I can feel it starting to work. Make sure it's okay. Yep. Okay, it's just as I said, this is the first time it's been done in anger, and dear knows how long. There we go. This end belt seems a bit more slack than the others, so I can always try another belt. One direction there, and another direction there. Oh yeah, this is going to be good, folks. This is going to be good. Right, so let me just try and find another belt. Here's one here. And let's just get this one fitted in, and I'm sure it will be fine. And in reverse. I'm going to take it over to my test track and see if it will go under its own steam, as it were. Well, the moment of truth, as I say. So, turning the power up, hopefully it will go to the left. And there it goes. Oh, look at that. Eh? Come on. You know how many years? Dear knows how many years. I would hazard a guess at least 10, maybe longer, that that motor hasn't pulled anything. Leave it out, tender loving care, some new belts, borrowed set of wheels. Yeah, look at that. Away she goes almost first time. Right, when she comes round, I'm going to reverse the current and see if she'll go in the opposite direction. Away she goes. Oh, right. Right. Okay, just a wee bit stuttered there over the points, so let me try something. Yeah, a wee bit more power, no issues. Right, okay. sure why she's doing that, but I'm sure it won't take much, so let me just give it a wee helping hand. And yep, seems to have wanted to stop. I'm peeling the motor, it's not overheating. Whoa! I've got to turn it down a wee bit. Okay, this time, just bring it to a halt there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a couple of little wagons that I have for Lone Star, and we'll see how she goes with that. The only Lone Star freight I have is this yellow tanker, the shell tanker, and the caboose. I do have some coaches, but those are the only freight I have. So I've hooked it up to that, and if I just turn the power up, and that doesn't look too bad at all. So EL60, type 20, class 24, also type saucer, type, so I'll get this right yet. Alright, so next thing, see if we can get the body fitted, and I think the fuels that I've borrowed, I'll just try and get more fuels for the one that's already waiting in spares anyway. Oh yeah, I like that. Let's get a couple of shots, of action shots, as she comes round the corner. Look at that. Okay, and again, here she comes, round again. And maybe a couple of shots going away. And she comes round and then drives down through there, and away she disappears into the wide blue yonder, and one spot. Let's have a look at this now that she's got everything together. We've got the body on. Come back and hook up the little freight consist. And come on, baby. Try and get forward. There she goes. Eventually. Track her around. British Rail green livery. And as she passes, there is my other EL60 waiting near the track, and with a couple of coaches, take it off the right way. So there are two Lone Star EL60 locomotives running probably as well as can be expected on my P4 track. That really is nice. Oh, that's great. These machines, remember, really know. And the only new parts I put into either of them are in fact drive belts. Original motors, original wheels, couplers. Just replaced the Bogie, but that came from another one, so it's still, if you like, an original Lone Star Bogie. Oh, that's my phone, so I better go and answer that. So anyway, tracking the one I've just repaired. I hope you liked that. I enjoyed doing the repair. I'm going to let the seller, who gave me this one, a notification that I've got it running. Hopefully you can see this on YouTube. So if you're interested in Lone Star or N-Gauge or even modern railway repairs, then if you haven't already done so, why don't you just subscribe and keep up to date. Hopefully you'll like this as well, and if you have any suitable comments, I would be really interested in hearing from them. Until then, all I can say is thanks for watching, take care now, and bye for now. So I'm just going to recap. This came in a rather sorry state, as you can see from the photograph. Rusty shafts, no wheels, broken bogie, dried up drive belts, and just looking in a very sorry state. But with a little bit of lubrication, a little bit of a clean up, replacement bogie, and borrowed wheels, borrowed wheels, this little EL60, let me just turn it around so you can read that, EL60, the Lone Star model EL60 Type 24 diesel, is now running pretty well. I'm quite pleased with that. I think that's a good restoration back into working order, because I suspect this poor little baby had been sitting somewhere, maybe in an attic, maybe in a drawer, for many a long year. So I'm glad we were able to get it up and get it running again. So I'm just going to put it back on the track with its sister locomotive, the other EL60 repaired earlier on. So let's have a look and see both of them running around for one last time.